I'm Jill.
And I'm Hazel.
Today, Hazel and I are going to read you a story I wrote during the coronavirus.
It's called Peeps. It's about a bird we rescued during the lockdown.
During the coronavirus quarantine, life is a dark tunnel with no end in sight.
I stare down the road at my friends, waving from a distance.
School reaches us through the computer, and I feel sleepy while the teacher reviews fractions.
Every day, I pace the kitchen, waiting for my parents to finish work, so they'll play games with me.
Talking with family and friends through the computer is strange too, never able to touch each other without a cursor.
Sometimes I feel the tunnel closing around me. Mom, when can I play with my friends again? I ask. Mom frowns. Going to school even sounds like a good idea now.
Then, one stormy afternoon, we find Peeps. Some workers across the street move her nest from a house to a tree, and we rush over to investigate. It's cold and raining, the sharp drops coming sideways. Dad checks the nest while my sister and I stand behind him, squinting. He shakes his head. "Looks like we're too late for these two," he says, but then reaches further into the nest. When he pulls out his hand, a baby sparrow is nestled inside it. "Come on," he yells over the sound of the rain.
Dad carries the bird into our house. He opens his palm and the sparrow barely moves or breathes. She's pink and ugly with a funny yellow smile spread across her face. She looks like a tiny Thanksgiving turkey. Dad gently closes his hand around the bird and blows hot air into his hand. Soon, the sparrow begins chirping. "She's okay!" My sister and I cheer. We take turns feeding her small amounts of soaked, dry cat food. When it's time for bed, Dad wrinkles his eyebrows. "She may not make it through the night," he says.
In the morning, my sister and I hop out of bed and run to the windowsill, where we made a cozy nest for the sparrow out of Tupperware and tissues. She is chirping loudly. "Hooray!" we yell, and decide to call her Peeps.
Peeps chirps through the day and into every night, but quiets when I close my hand around her tiny body and stroke her soft head with my thumb. "Don't worry," I tell her.
Pretty fast, Peeps begins growing feathers, and our friends stand outside the door to see the bird who lived. "So cute!" they shout through our glass door, wishing to come inside and hold her.
Peeps starts hanging out in our collars and pockets, even perching on our fingers. Her wings are painted with pretty yellow and beige brush strokes.
Mom smiles every time she sees me playing with Peeps. "Peeps is our silver lining during this quarantine," she says, "like a bright rainbow after a dark storm."
Peeps' little body begins filling out like a small balloon, and soon she's hopping out of her Tupperware. During the long days of quarantine, she often naps on my shoulder or in my hand while I'm in class. "You're my friend, Peeps," I whisper so the teacher can't hear me. On these days, if I squint just right, I can see to the end of the tunnel.
I help Peeps practice flying by lowering my hand while she's perched on it. She flaps wildly and flies from counters to high picture frames while we cheer her on. We reward her with mealworms and bugs the neighborhood kids scoop up from their front yards. We're excited for Peeps, but Mom says it won't be long before we need to let her go. I close my eyes and listen for Peeps chirping. The quarantine goes on forever through the spring, our friends waiting for any word about Peeps. She's a celebrity.
Trees and flowers bloom all around our little white house in the neighborhood. One windy day in May, my sister and I take Peeps outside, and she quickly flies up and away. We search the trees and bushes, but she has disappeared. We look down the streets, but only see the tops of trees blowing around in the wind. My sister and I began wailing. It's a deep sound that comes from the pit of my stomach. Peeps is gone! Peeps is gone! We shout as Mom steps out the door. She stands still, listens, and moves to a small maple tree. She calls out, Peeps! Peeps! And shakes the tree. Miraculously, Peeps flies onto her hand. After that day, we are nervous about taking Peeps outside.
Then the school announced they're closing for the rest of the year. The days seem longer. In my dreams, the tunnel seems to stretch and grow, darkness swirling around me. But now I can hear Peeps chirping loudly in the dreams too. Peeps is flying like a champ now, and we begin taking her outside again every day. Each time she flies up to a roof or treetop, we shout, Peeps, Peeps, with shaky voices. Each time I wonder if she will return as she chases her sparrow friends around the yard. Dad says it is her call of the wild, and I worry that maybe we are stopping her from being the bird she's meant to be. Mom says we should say goodbye, just in case she doesn't come back sometime. So we do.
I love you, Peeps, I say, cradling her in my hand, stroking her tiny head with my thumb. I will always hold you in my memory. Like a photograph, I tell her. And I know it's true because my mind is full of Peeps, with no room for the tunnel as it slowly fades away.
One day, Peeps doesn't come home, and Dad says she's off building her own life now. I nod my head and rub the tears from my eyes. But I smile too, because I know Peeps is out there, chittering about the neighborhood, soaring to the rooftops with her friends, and keeping watch over us from the top of our old oak tree.
And even though I don't hear the sound of her little cheeps through the house anymore, I know she will be forever chirping in my dreams.
Thanks for reading the story with me, Hazel.
You're welcome, Mom. Check out Peeps Cheeps on Instagram for more photos and videos. Bye!